as I mentioned in my description, I only have a few complaints about the Playas de Tijuana. One is the noise. And most of these complaints can actually be solved by moving into like a gated neighborhood or a little bit further south of Playas de Tijuana. But while I'm living here, in the Playas de Tijuana, these are my complaints. The noise. Tamale and taco sellers and other businesses, let's say they're having a grand opening for their store, they're driving or they're walking through neighborhoods and they have megaphones attached to their car, or they're just yelling, I have these type of tamales or these type of tacos. And I work at home, so I guess other people who are at home, stay-at-home moms, senior citizens who actually are not working, and it's probably a convenience for them that these businesses are coming through and selling their product. For me, I'm on the phone with clients, or I'm typing, and suddenly in the back there's, a taco song playing in the back, or a tamale song playing in the back. And yes, it is a song with the rhythm and a tune, and it's coming from a megaphone at the car, and it's so annoying. The cars usually start coming through around 7 a.m. in the morning, and they stop at sunset. The massive amount of large barking dogs all day. So I'm not in a gated neighborhood, and my neighbors are wonderful. And really, besides maybe drunk driving, drunken brawl, crime that relates to drinking, there really isn't crime in this area. That's one of the wonderful things about it. You can walk on the street alone at night. I have 2 dogs. I take them out to walk. I've never had a problem. I've never felt like I was in danger. But for some reason, everyone here has a German Shepherd. And it's not just one German Shepherd. It's like 2 German Shepherds, and the dogs bark in the morning, they bark at night, they bark every time someone walks by. They just bark, 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 no self-control. And I can't complain about anyone's dogs because I have dogs that bark when you knock on the door. But man, those dogs are loud, and they bark all day and they bark all night. Because I live to the beach, and by the beach, a lot of people are trying to get to the beach. And, they're taking their motorcycles, or they have those little 4-wheelers, like, they think they're so cool. And they get into these biker gangs, these 4-wheeler gangs, and it's so loud. It's just, obviously it's usually men, not women, that are getting onto their motorcycles or getting onto these 4-wheelers. They're driving their 1960 whatever. So it's these loud motors and these loud engines and these loud motorcycles. It's just a lot of noise. But the one thing about it is that if you can get into a gated neighborhood, these cars can't drive through your neighborhood. It's not as likely your neighbor's going to have as many dogs. If it was just one barking dog, maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal. But pretty much every neighbor I have, we all have dogs, no exception. You probably have less amount of dogs in a gated neighborhood. Like I said, once again, these motorcycle gangs, these 4-wheeler groups can't ride through your neighborhood, so you're not going to have that loud noise. And definitely no tamale taco sellers or anyone walking through your neighborhood yelling or having a megaphone attached to their car. So it can really be cleared up if you can move into a gated neighborhood. Unwanted visitors. Oh my God. So like I said, I work from home as much as I can. And people just stop by your door and they knock on your door. Originally, I'm from the South, so I don't mind going to my door and opening my door. But it's like every time I'm here, I go to my door like twice a day. Church missionaries, they want to invite me to church. They want to talk about religion, which I have no problem with. But 1, you speak Spanish and my Spanish isn't that great. 2, I'm working. And like I said, generally probably the people that are at home in this community are senior citizens, stay-at-home spouses. So those are the people they're probably targeting, and then I just happen to be at home. So church missionaries, government officials. So I've had people stop by or at least say they were with the government. I don't know if it was true or not, to ask about electricity. My Spanish is good, but it's not that good. To clarify who lives here and who doesn't live here. So government official, then door hangers. People come around, they're hanging all these flyers on your door. They're hanging flyers on your car. You know, they're knocking on your door to ask you, you know, are you going to come to the next event? It's just a lot of people that, you know, have access to you. So unwanted visitors are alive and well in Playas de Tijuana. But once again, move into a gated neighborhood and most of this can be solved. Driving culture, no respect for stop signs. So a stop sign is just like a yield. Like you look and see if there's anyone else there and you go. And even if there is someone else there, it's just like, they're still probably going to go. So when I pull up at a stop sign, I just stop, you know, unless it's like 2 a.m, I'm driving home, you know, maybe I'll pull a little past and look and I'll go at 2 a.m. But during like regular traffic, I'll completely stop. And if someone wants to roll through a stop sign, I have no driving pride. I just let them roll through the stop sign. It's not worth it to get angry or upset about a different driving culture. You just accept it and you slow down and you look both ways and you make sure that you don't get into an accident. No clear signage giving directions. Okay, so if you want to get somewhere and you don't know where it is, or you're not good at reading a map, or you don't have the address, you just sort of know it's around this area, there really aren't any clear signs that make sense, especially when, let's say you want to use your passport to get across the border and you're going to the ready pass lane. There is no clear signage from the Playas de Tijuana to the ready pass lane to help you out. Like literally I drove around. It took me about a month because, like I said, I tried not to go across the border too often. So every trip I would search for this ready pass lane, and then I went onto YouTube to get instructions. And I guess, you know, the Mexican police also went on to YouTube to see how people were getting there, and they started cutting off what were considered to be shortcuts. Well, if there were just signs to direct people from the Playas de Tijuana how to get to the ready pass lane, we wouldn't need shortcuts, but there's no clear signage. So if you don't know where something is, you should not expect a sign telling you to turn left or to turn right. You just sort of have to figure it out through trial and error. Massive amount of potholes and unrepaired streets. So some of the streets have been filled in lately, but massive amount of potholes and unrepaired streets. Now that I've lived here for a while, I just know which streets to take, because you can't drive on streets with potholes that are unrepaired. So eventually you figure out this street is not good for me or my car, and I just don't go down that street. So some of the side streets, some of the shortcuts, the roads are just so horrible. Even if it'll save you time, you'd rather not go down that street because it'll do damage to your car. Generally in a gated neighborhood, because they're paying an HOA fee, obviously, the roads are in somewhat of a better condition. And I always put in a gated neighborhood because, you know, it's like, you know, everyone, first of all, thinks Tijuana is this horrible place, and it's really not. There's really no crime. And then I don't want to make it sound like it's bad when, you know, I live in a community, a public community versus in a private gated neighborhood. So there are ways to get what you want and live in certain areas. Just when I moved down here, the circumstance I came under, I wasn't in that position. So this is to say, hey, this isn't all the Playas de Tijuana, and some of these issues can be resolved. All right. So the stench. Maybe once or twice a month, the sewer facility stinks horribly. I mean, you could shut all your windows, you could shut all your doors, but it's just a stench. The sewage facility, I don't know if they're cleaning. I don't know if it's just like releasing odor. I don't know what the smell is. But maybe it's once or twice a month, and it lasts for a few hours. It doesn't even last all day. But it's like when you have to deal with it, and especially when you don't smell it in the U.S., you're like, you wonder why they don't have the same technology. Like, we're just right outside the United States. We're not even 20, 30 minutes away from downtown San Diego, but somehow you can't manage to keep this stench out of the air. It doesn't make sense to, I'm thinking, most Americans. And there's no escape from this smell. I mean, you really do have to get a little bit further south, like San Antonio, Del Mar, Rosarito, before you do not smell it at all. So there's a stench. And as long as you're pretty much north of the toll roads, you're going to smell it. And that's just it. You're north of the toll roads, you're going to smell the stench. I don't understand why Playas de Tijuana has this stench and they haven't been able to resolve it yet. But those are my complaints. Pretty much everything else is okay. The people are wonderful. My neighbors are great. There's really no crime. And everything, you know, if you wanted to, you can walk to it. Pretty much the area is within walking distance of everything.